Hey guys, what's up? Today I'm doing my favorite movies again, and I already did my favorite movies, but I forgot to include my first favorite movie when I did that video. Somehow, I don't know. Um and so yeah, we're gonna do it again. And also, um between when I uploaded that video and now, I've kind of realized that's not actually my favorite movie, and they're just one that it's probably a worse movie. It's just by a little bit, but it means a lot more to me personally. And I'll tell you when we get to the movie that used to be my number one pick, because it is still on the list. It's just not as high as it used to be. And also, I've made a couple other changes to my list too that you might notice when you're watching. So, yeah, let's get started. Here's number 5. There is a great video by Patrick H. Willems which explains how Ghostbusters isn't really about anything. I mean, sure, it's about a bunch of guys who capture ghosts for a living, but it doesn't really have any underlying themes or morals, and none of the characters really change in any big or substantial way. And without those things, it sounds like the movie would be terrible, but that's just not true. There's something so good about the comedy and the performances in Ghostbusters that it transcends those things. Um, and it's just an amazing movie, and I feel like there's a lot of people who are like, "Oh, a comedy movie can't be great. It's a comedy. It has to be a drama to be a great movie," and that's just not true at all. There are tons of incredible comedies out there, and a lot of the movies um, on my favorite movies list, I feel like could be considered comedies. And the movie isn't all incredible, though. There are some aspects of it that aren't so good. Like, I feel like a lot of the time the movie can look grainy. I don't know if that's just, I don't know if it was like an indie movie or something, so they didn't have access to, absolutely incredible, super high quality cameras. But, and also the CGI, uh, no, the CGI looks straight up terrible sometimes. And you could say, well, it was made in 1984. The CGI wasn't good back then, but 2001: A Space Odyssey came out like 15 years ago, like 15 years from when Ghostbusters came out, and that movie just has such like better CGI. So, um, yeah, that's really all I have to say for this one. So, number 4. The amount of creativity that oozes out of Back to the Future just amazes me. There's so many little details in the movie, like how the name of the mall changes from Twin Pines to Lone Pine after Marty goes back in time and knocks down one of the pine trees. Also, the performances the actors give in this movie really make their characters likable and easy to root for, besides Biff, but that was on purpose. And all of these elements make the film just incredible, an absolute must watch. Alright, on to number 3. Okay, so right off the bat, I'm just gonna get the compliment that literally everybody gives this movie. I'm just gonna get that out of the way. The costumes or the puppets, whatever you want to call them, are awesome. They're insane. And I'm not going to talk about that at all anymore, because literally everyone who has ever talked about this movie has talked about that. But what I will talk about is how I'm very surprised that this movie is actually good, let alone great. And let me explain why. So originally, the Ninja Turtles was a very dark and very violent comic book. And what happened, so the comic was successful, obviously. And then Playmates, which is a toy company, wanted to make a toy line based off of the Ninja Turtles. So, in order to promote that toy line, they created a cartoon for kids, and in my opinion, that cartoon is just not very good at all. Even though some people regard it as a classic, but I just don't. I really don't like the cartoon. And that kind of dumbed down the Ninja Turtles and made it way less. It just made it way less good, in my opinion. And the movie came out right around the height of the cartoon's popularity, which is why I'm really surprised they went a little bit more for that darker version of the Ninja Turtles than they did for the dumbed down Playmates version. And it's not super violent like the comic is, but it's not all just sunshine and rainbows or whatever, like the cartoon is. Like, this movie can be kind of brutal sometimes. And, I'm not one of those people who's just like, violence makes every movie good. Violence is cool in movies, yay. But, it's like, it's more, because of that darker tone, it can be more emotionally mature, I guess, than the cartoon ever could possibly be. And, yeah, there are, there are a lot of actually really emotionally impactful moments in the movie. Like, spoiler alert, when Raphael is lying in the bathtub and Leo's looking over him, making sure he's okay. And, yeah, also there's some surprisingly good action scenes in the movie, considering they were wearing, like, these, I imagine, really heavy and, like, really hot costumes and puppets. So I'm surprised that the fight scenes were actually even watchable, because they actually look pretty convincing in action, the suits do. And, yeah, the actors also give very good performances. They're very charismatic, especially Casey Jones. And, Shredder's pretty scary too. I like his actor. And yeah, that's all I have to say for this movie. On to number two. Okay, so I originally had this movie as my favorite movie, but as I said in the beginning, I sort of realized there was another movie that's not really better than The Truman Show. It has more of a personal connection to me, and I'll explain that when I get to the number one spot. But The Truman Show is still an amazing movie. It the 50s kind of aesthetic of the movie, it feels sort of surreal, but in a good way, and it doesn't alienate you from the emotions the characters are feeling. And the movie does a very good job of, like, making you feel Truman's emotions. You, like, feel his frustration. And the movie also is funny at points when it wants to be, of course. It's never really ironically funny. Especially with the product placement parts. And the ending is the best part. I love the ending. It might be my favorite movie scene, just like ever, actually. And it's because it feels so satisfying to finally see Truman escape his TV world, and his last word to Christoph. I just that also might be my favorite line in movie history. It's such a great setup and payoff, and it makes me want to laugh and cry at the same time. And it's just, I love this movie so much. On to number one. This is my number one favorite movie of all time. Partly because I used to watch it a lot when I was younger, and unlike most movies I used to watch a lot when I was younger, this is actually a very good movie. And I'm gonna explain why. It has very good comedy. It's really funny. The acting is surprisingly really good, especially for child actors. And there actually are a few emotional moments in the film where it really gets you to feel for the characters, especially Rowley, even though he's not the main character. But if I were to have one complaint with the movie, it's that there's not really a lot of build up towards. There's not really a lot of build up to Greg and Rowley's fist fight at the end of the movie, but Greg's speech is really good after that, and there is a lot of build up to uh, Greg and Rowley's breakup, which is around like the end of the second half of the movie, I would say. Um, I've heard a few people say that the movie is bad because Greg's too mean, but like that's literally the entire point of the movie. That's Greg's character arc. He learns to not be so mean. So I don't really agree with those um, arguments at all. And yeah, that's it, guys. That's my favorite movie. Bye.